All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome back again to another episode of the True Crime Talk Show brought to you by Thought Riot Podcast. My name's Brendan.
And I'm Malia.
And welcome to the show. So, just to get everything kicked off, as you know, you can find us on every major podcast platform. All of them. If they are out there, then you can find us on them. So you just have to search / Thought Riot Podcast or at Thought Riot Podcast. For all of our viewers on the other platforms out there, there is an active chat that goes on. The majority of the people that are the chatters are on YouTube. So if you would like to engage in the chat with us, where we can see it and we can answer questions at the end of the stories, then YouTube is the place to be. And again, you can go on YouTube and just search Thought Riot Podcast, spelled all the way out, and you'll be able to find us on there. We're on all the social medias. On Patreon, yes, we have a free tier. We are on Twitter. We are on Discord. And here shortly, we will post the Discord invite link. It is free. Everything's free. We offer free everything on all the platforms. There is also a paid tier that you can opt in for if you would like to support us further on our mission to taking over the world. Mwahaha. But anyways, welcome everybody, and we are going to get into it. What do you want to get into first tonight? I know the big ones. Yes, Idaho4, and we're going to dig into a topic that at least for me, I want to dig into a topic that was briefly brought up yesterday about the volleyball team, and not in the aspect that it was brought up yesterday. Okay. It was brought up yesterday to highlight that the scandal of the team, and that's not the direction I want to go with it, because when I was researching into it, there were a couple really important things said that I was like, that makes a lot of sense when we were digging into and or looking into the Idaho4 case. And then some updates on the Sebastian Rogers case, and yeah. What do you got?
What updates are there in the Sebastian Rogers case?
I mean,
what I had on my mind today was the two missing moms who were recently found in Oklahoma. Did you hear about that?
Yeah,
Veronica
I think
Butler.
we briefly talked about it on here, and we do have a couple new members also. We appreciate you for that, you guys. We'll get these in there. Just before you start your story, I wanted to give a shout out, so that's why I interrupted you there. And thank you as one new member, and KB new member. We are super stoked to have you here with us, and we appreciate you. But yeah, I thought we had briefly touched on that. Did we not?
No.
Am I thinking of the wrong situation, it sounds like?
No, I briefly told you about it because I just, there was a lot of things being said that I was like, what the heck is going on here? And this is, I told you about it before there was the 4 arrests and the 2 bodies found, because there were people in the town not wanting to talk because they were afraid they were going to be next. And it was a weird situation.
That's such a weird
thing
to me, where people are afraid to talk like they're going to be let next. I don't know. I don't know if it like goes into this idea. One of the downsides of humanity, and I'm not picking on anyone, if anything, I'm picking on myself, okay, is we get in this idea that it's really easy to feel like maybe not the whole world, but things revolve around us. You know what I mean? A town's pretty big. Maybe this is a tiny town with 20 people in it or something where you know, one person could talk and that person would know. But normally, like, it would be pretty surprising to come out and talk, I guess we got to define what talk means. Just talk to officers?
Media.
Oh, okay.
Or
okay, that's a little bit different, I feel like.
Or I mean, I don't know if they were talking to law enforcement or not. They were just telling media they didn't want to talk because they were afraid they would be next.
I'll try and pull that. You said Oklahoma, right?
Yeah, and the two missing women are Jillian, or not, I mean, they're passed away now. Jillian Kelly and Veronica Butler.
These two, I assume?
Mm-hmm, that's them.
Okay. Yeah, so give us the rundown. What's the story? It sounds really crazy. So people were afraid to speak up because they were afraid to be next. What does that mean exactly?
I mean, I don't know. I guess now that we have more information, maybe it'll make a little more sense. But even then, I don't know. It seems like they're a part of some kind of cult.
Oh.
Not these two women, but the people that are involved in their murders and disappearance. It seems like
legitimately part of a cult.
See, I don't know yet because I don't know enough about whatever they're a part of. I just don't know enough yet. The affidavit came out, and I was trying to see if I could find it posted online anywhere today to see if any news articles posted it online, because it would give more information, a lot more, but I don't know that it gives much more information about the whatever religious thing that it gives, like a name. Hold on, let me try to find the name real quick.
Okay. So it gives a name of their group.
Yeah, like what they call themselves.
This group has been found to be the reason why these women went missing?
No. It's a custody battle. So
okay, I think we need to give the rundown because we're kind of
I'm trying to.
I'm lost. I don't understand it. I'm hearing cult, missing women, and that sounds terrifying.
Yeah, I know, but you asked why people didn't want to talk.
Okay.
Okay, so Veronica Butler and Jillian Kelly were going to pick up Veronica's kids.
Okay.
There's a lot, at least I know from the little bits that have come out, it seems like Veronica was in recovery, and her man were separated, going through some kind of bitter separation. The kids were staying with the grandmother because the father of the kids also was in jail, and then now was when this happened, in some kind of treatment facility.
Okay.
And I'm guessing the grandma really did not like Veronica, from what it seems like and what happened. I mean, it sounds like a mother-in-law from hell is exactly what it sounds like.
Okay, so she's
going to pick her up, and this woman, the grandmother, is very possessive of the grandchildren, and it is one of the little girls' birthdays. Like, one of the kids is having a birthday. It's her 6th birthday. The mom's going to pick them up to take them to a birthday party. Jillian was there because she is a court mandated, like one of those people that ride with you, that go with you to visit the kids. I forget what it's called.
Gotcha.
So she's going with her, and
so these two women are together.
Yeah. Okay. They're driving together to go to Oklahoma to pick up the kids where the grandma lives, and they never made it to the pickup location, which apparently it sounds like they had gone to this place before.
Okay.
And had, met up before at this place, but for whatever reason, they didn't make it there. The car was found like on the side of the road. A few days before we got information about, the bodies and the arrests and all of that, we found out there was blood found inside the car. Okay. Which everyone's of course, like, because everybody kept asking these questions. So to back up a little bit, throughout this whole situation, they're announced missing, but there's nobody out looking for them. The car is found and nobody's out looking for them. And the media kept asking questions like, where's the search parties? Like, why is nobody looking for these women? So people, some, YouTubers and sleuths and stuff started going out and looking for them. It is bad. Started going out and looking for them and was like, why are there no police out here searching? Well, we found out there was blood and there was suspected foul play, and that's why they weren't looking, because they were already pretty sure they were gone.
Okay.
So
I was already being hard on law enforcement by joking at that. So what it sounds like,
I think law enforcement did a wonderful job in this situation.
That's what I was going to say. Is it sounds like that
they knew what they were doing.
Suspected that they were not going to find these women alive. So instead of focusing on trying to find the bodies of these women, they focused on trying to find the suspects that caused these women's lives to end. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I got you.
It was March 30th, I believe, that they were reported missing. Yep.
Okay.
It was March 30th is the day that they went.
I think mugshots
we learned from the affidavit in these arrests that one of the family members of Jillian actually drove, or maybe it was Veronica, one of their family members actually drove to go look for them and is the one who found the car. Imagine your family member's missing and you go to drive to look for them wherever they were going because you're concerned, and you find the car abandoned on the side of the road with blood in it.
Yeah, I would freak out.
That's terrifying.
Absolutely.
And they went weeks not knowing what happened. And Jillian is the wife of a pastor.
Okay.
And because in the beginning, we didn't really understand the relationship between these two women.
Sure.
At least I didn't understand it. And it seemed like a lot of other people didn't either.
Sure.
I thought they were friends. I didn't realize that she was somebody who was there to oversee her visitation with her children. And that they were really more of acquaintances and not really friends, you know? And that she was a pastor's wife, and, they're both moms. Kids lost their moms because of these idiots that hurt them. It's absolutely horrible. So March 30th. Okay. Then it was March 31st. Okay. No, we're looking at, okay. So April 13th is when, which is 2 days ago, is when they officially said that there were arrests. And April 3rd is when they said there was foul play. So it took a while. How long is that exactly? I'm going to pull up the calendar really quick. So March 30th. So that's exactly 2 weeks. On the dot of when they made the arrest. So that just goes to show you the cops really knew what they were doing.
Yeah, no, I agree with you.
They really knew what was up in this situation, because that was what my concern the entire time I was watching this. I thought about talking about it a few times, but never got the chance to. And then this came, and I kept hearing things like people are afraid, and I was like, what the heck is going on here? But they had a press conference today, which I hoped that it would make more sense when I watched a press conference and I could put things together better, but it didn't make any more sense. And really all that press conference was a victory lap. It was them just congratulating each other. But yeah, you want to put the 4 people who were arrested up on the screen?
I gotcha. Yeah.
So this Saturday, 43-year-old Tad Burt Cullum, 54-year-old Tiffany Adams, 50-year-old Cole Earl Twombly, and 44-year-old Cora Twombly were arrested. And they all are charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder, 2 counts of kidnapping and 1 count of conspiracy to commit murder in the first degree. All of them.
Do we know the details of what happened though? Like, how did this actually occur?
I don't know all those details.
Okay.
Other than it appears from the affidavit, which I wanted to have pulled up here in front of me, but I can't find a copy. I'll keep trying to. I probably should have thought ahead and called to get it, but I figured it'd be posted online somewhere. They always are, usually. So it sounds like, I mean, I didn't see it laid out in specific details, not yet, and I need to read the affidavit, but from what I've been hearing, it sounds like, see, here's the thing. I've only heard rumors of this guy, which is Twombly.
Which one? You got to point it out.
So
upper left,
so
lower
bottom,
right.
So the 2 on the left side, the guy with the long beard and the lady with I don't know how the lady under her, the lady under him, they're supposedly a couple. That's her boyfriend.
Okay.
And that's not Twombly, that's Tad Cullum.
Okay.
They're supposedly a couple, and then the 2 on the right are also a couple, which is the Twombleys, and that guy is supposedly a butcher in the area.
Okay. Which
kind of is freaky when you think about his involvement in this, and you know what I mean?
What's more freaky to me is the fact that this is not a power stash. It is a full circle stash.
Oh my gosh, it is.
Literally a full circle stash. I've never seen that in my life.
Wait, why did he leave the neck hair?
It's full circle.
Is that what?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't know if I would trust that stash either. I'm just saying.
Okay. But this is absolutely horrible. The whole situation is absolutely horrible.
Absolutely.
It's super, super, super sad. You know, Veronica was working super hard to get her kids back, like really, really, really hard. And it was said that the grandma, and it was said that she was about to get them back.
Of these the grandma?
Yeah, the grandma was charged with the murder of her.
Okay, so
of Veronica.
So which one is the
and
grandma?
Jillian.
This one on the lower left? Okay. Okay.
Yep. She's the grandma, and that's her boyfriend that's above her.
Got it. Okay.
Yep. And apparently they never took the kids to go meet the mom either. The kids just think the mom never showed up. And yeah, it's pretty awful.
So they met them like while they were on the way there?
I'm guessing so. They were intercepted somehow.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, that is horrible. That's awful. Especially what blows my mind is she was working hard to get her kids back, and her kids were with what? A couple homicidal maniacs? Like,
I mean,
the background. I'm curious what the background is. Like, how is that a better situation?
Yeah, they called themselves God's Misfits. I forgot about that.
God's Misfits?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Ridiculous.
I don't know. I haven't heard anything about that.
I haven't either. So law enforcement found the car and evidence of severe injury, which included blood on the road, Butler's glasses near a broken hammer. What? And a pistol magazine. So interviews led them to Tiffany Adams. Adams was the grandmother of Butler's children that was, watching them. The kids were in her custody. Wrangler Rickman was the father of those children. Rickman is Adam's son. So yes, the dad, that is the paternal grandma that was holding the kids. And again, as I said, the father was in a recovery facility. One thing I found out about that situation is the grandma also wouldn't even let him see the kids. She was so possessive. She didn't even want her own son having visitations with the kids. She was like, these are my kids, nobody else.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds insane. It sounds as insane as somebody that would, when unhappy with the current situation, would kill somebody to get what they want. That's how insane it sounds.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, this is a really horrible situation.
So this custody battle had been going on since 2019. Did you shout out the memberships? You could do that real quick.
Oh, all right. That is awesome, Meg. We appreciate you and gifted 10 Thought Riot Podcast memberships to the Thought Riot Podcast community. That is incredible. Thank you so much for that. And some of the team that received those will be able to take advantage of them tonight and join the members live that we have set up for tonight. So that is incredible. And coming through with 5 more. Wow. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. That is awesome.
Yes. Thank you a ton. That's awesome.
Very, very awesome. Here, I will match them here shortly. We'll wait till we get a few more people.
Okay. So
thank you though. That's incredible.
It
is some commitment, and we are super happy that you're here with us. So thank you. Thank you.
So this was a court-ordered visit, okay, with the children that Butler was supposed to have, Veronica Butler. And it was supposed to be supervised. Well, the grandma told them, the court or whoever, like, that the person she preferred to supervise the visits wasn't available on March 30th. So Veronica arranged Jillian, the girl who was riding with her to visit the kids, to supervise the visitation.
Okay.
Kind of sounds like the grandma was trying anything to make it not work to me.
Yeah.
Like, that's kind of what it makes me feel like.
Yeah.
So they travel from Hugoton, Kansas to Four Corners region in Oklahoma to pick up the kids. And this is coming from the affidavit. This is information from the affidavit. The grandma told police that, but after she was interviewed, she tells the police that Veronica called her that morning and said something came up and she wasn't going to make it.
Okay.
So she's lying. She's telling the police, Veronica called me and said she wasn't going to come pick up the kids. Something came up. Family members of Veronica became very concerned when she didn't show up for the birthday party that day and located her vehicle near Four Corners and called the police. So didn't actually make it there, but nearby.
Sure. Okay. Is there anything else interesting in that?
Yeah. So I don't know. It's lies from the grandma. It's lies and more lies about what was going on. And with I don't know what significance this is. So they interviewed the original custody supervisor, whom the grandma said wasn't available that day. The person said the grandma told her to take a couple weeks off from visitation. So she was planning this ahead of time. I just wonder, was this like planned very far in advance, or was it a sudden, like?
I mean, I don't think that matters. Clearly, if they met her halfway and didn't take the kids, that it's going to be homicide 1. It's going to be first degree. So
I mean, they're both charged with 2, like first degree for both women.
Right. I'm just saying that to me, it's not. I personally don't care if she planned it a week in advance or if she just planned it that day, because the only thing that's going to impact it is the fact that they had planned it before they met up with them, and that is going to be first degree. So
yeah.
But yeah, that's interesting, and it's definitely something to keep looking into. It doesn't sound culty to me. Is that what's being said, or?
Yeah, I want to look more into that because I've heard it said they called themselves God's misfits, that they all had like these names. But I don't know what that is. Like, I don't know what this thing they are supposedly a part of is.
Okay.
So this says that according to the document, the teen, Cora Twombly, which is the child of the two other people, the butcher and his wife, that are involved in all of this, that's their daughter. She told, so Cora told her, wait. The agents that Cora Twombly, her husband, Cole Twombly, Adams, and Cullum were all part of an anti-government religious group.
Okay.
So an anti-government religious group known as God's Misfits. Regular meetings are said to have occurred at the Twombly's home. And it's believed that Cora, the teenager, actually is the one who ratted them out and told on them for doing all of this.
All right.
But I mean, I'm curious to look into it. Like, is it just a thing where it's these two couples trying to create a group, or is this an established group? Does it have anything to do with the killings, or, I mean, is it just they're all just kind of crazy? But why would the public around them be scared to talk?
Yeah.
If it's just these couples having meetings amongst themselves and pretending they're in some group.
I mean,
that doesn't make you scary or dangerous to
Yeah.
the point where other people are going to be like, we're not going to talk because we don't want to be next.
Without me doing a little bit of research into it, again, I just have no idea. I have some immediate questions, like, you know, how big is the community that they're living in? You know, people in any size city, people that are in that lifestyle here, when somebody, they know who the homicidal people are. You know who trouble is,
Sure.
okay? Not by
Yeah.
looks, but because people talk. And, you know, are these people prone to violence, and are they known for going to bars, going downtown, and causing violence and wreaking havoc? It kind of sounds like it if everyone was scared of them. You know, when I heard God's Misfits and I saw them, one of the first things I thought about is this a 3-patch biker gang? Okay. If it's a 3-patch biker gang, I mean, you can't, not anybody can just create a 3-patch biker gang. The others run you out. You have to be big enough to be able to hold your own and hold your territory in order to create one, essentially. By the time you're big enough to hold your own and actually have an established patch, you're scary. So it made me wonder, is that what's going on here? You know, my parents were bikers, and bikers have a certain look. Yes, that's judgmental. But they do have a certain look, you know, and I'm not meaning that in a bad way. And those, I feel like those people could fit the description. So it makes me wonder. I'm interested to look into it a little bit more. I'm interested to find out why they say that it's culty. Is it surrounded by some type of religion? It sounds like, you know, there's a possibility that it could be like an anti-government far right faction, but I just don't have any confirmation of that. So I would be curious to see. But
that YB just mentioned in the chat, this sounds like something sovereign. That is actually the names that they use. That it was like they put sovereign in front of their names. I don't know what that means.
Okay.
I've never encountered that before. So I mean, I'm gonna have to look into it. I want to understand. I don't think this is gonna be the last we're gonna be hearing of this case, and I'll definitely dig more into it, especially if the community wants me to. But I just wanted to bring it up because there's been a lot happening in that case.
Yeah.
So
yeah. No, you guys, I was never a part of a 3-patch biker anything. I was never a part of anything like that. I was just a troublemaker that happened to come across that stuff. My parents were bikers. And yeah, you know, it just comes with a certain type of lifestyle. So, but anyways, huge shout out to Plain Iron, and Plain Iron is actually Steve rebranded. So welcome, Plain Iron, previously known as Steve. And howdy, y'all, crack me up. We appreciate that and super stoked to have you here with us.
And that's super generous. We really appreciate it.
Yes,
thank you so much for the support.
I think I saw one more come through. Hang on. Okay, yeah. So Kat gifted a Thought Riot podcast membership. Thank you. That is incredible, and we appreciate that. All right. So what are we up to? 5, 15, 16, 17, 18. I might just have to end up buying. What do I normally do? Is it 50 or something like that? I don't know. But anyways, yeah. For anybody that's watching on the 6, 7, I don't even know, 8 different platforms, make sure you hit that thumbs up button. Make sure you give us a rating, whether it's stars, whether it's thumbs up. No matter what it is, we appreciate that, and it goes a long way to continue to be known. Continue to grow, and we appreciate you ahead of time. So thank you, you guys. We appreciate it. Let me see here. I need to fix this real quick. Yes. Okay. Yep. So I can see that again. Okay. So yeah, moving on over to the we're gonna get stuck in the Idaho4 forever. We do every time because there's so many questions. I don't want to do that last. It benefits the show to do that more in the beginning. And for the growth and visibility and things like that. So,
okay.
I would like to cover Sebastian quick, though, because I don't have a lot of updates, but I want to continue to highlight the Sebastian Rogers case until we're to a conclusion, right? So Sebastian Rogers, as we've covered for the past few days, has been missing for about, 48 or what is it, 48 or 50?
He was missing the 20s. He was reported missing the 26th.
Okay. So
it's in the 40s. It's almost 50. I can't remember the exact one, but
yeah, but he has been missing for that long, and we have been covering this every night briefly for about 2 weeks, just with updates and kind of giving the breakdown on what's going on. There has been a ton of questions around this case, and the questions around this case, in my opinion, are not standard questions. They're weird questions. They are situations that you don't normally see in a missing person's case. They are situations that make me want to ask more questions. So we've covered the father. So who's in Sebastian Rogers' life? The birth father.
49 days.
Okay. The birth father and the birth mother, who are separated, and the birth mother had gotten remarried and so he has a stepfather. So these 3 main adults are in his life, and there's some really weird questions around all of them. So there has been talk about Seth, the birth father, asking for the FBI to get involved. And apparently he was just on some other show today conveying that he has interest in the FBI getting involved.
Yeah, because there's also talk that Sebastian isn't even up on the Sumner County active case website. Like,
what?
He's not even on Sumner County's active missing persons listed on their website. And and apparently he was never listed on there. And people are like, what is going on there? Like, and there's rumors that it's not an active investigation for Sumner County anymore. I don't know. I don't know what's going on there. I just really hope that these higher agencies are on it. I hope TBI and the FBI are taking over. I hope that they're paying attention, because even though I think it is possible that there isn't any foul play involving the parents, I still think it's possible that Sebastian walked off on his own, but I think it's less likely than foul play. My theory the other night that I shared was thinking he may have been sneaking out at night and just walking around and exploring. Like a neighbor said, they found him hidden underneath a car. And, you know, maybe he went to that retention pond and was playing in it. And somebody drove by and snatched his little butt up. I don't know. Like, it's terrifying that he's been gone this long. Did he like the woods? Did he go out and play in the woods? Like, what? It's hard to know. He was a teenager. He had trauma. He was experiencing not the best home life, it seems like, because, I mean, at least from what's been said now at this point, it didn't seem like it was the best home life. Maybe when it was maybe just him and his mom, but it didn't seem like Chris Proudfoot was the best stepfather. I'm just being honest.
I mean, just based on the video footage and things that we've seen and or heard, it sounds like there was a lot of chaos between the separated parents. It sounds like there was a lot of chaos between the mother and the more newly stepfather. Yeah, I mean, anytime there's chaos around a child, that's not a good situation for them. That is not beneficial. So I don't know. My big question, where I think my biggest issue or concern is, we are depending on an unprovable timeline.
Yeah. There's no proof.
That is what matters to me.
That's why people keep going back to the last known time with proof that he was seen, which was the restaurant on camera when he was there with his mother. And that's why it was so important for Seth to see that video of him walking out to the car and seeing he was still alive.
Exactly.
Because that is the last known time he's on camera, and that we know for a fact, not based off what people say, but know for a fact, based off video evidence, that he was alive and he was okay.
Exactly. And I think that's important. I think that's a very, very, very big deal, because look, so do you guys realize, like, the mother doesn't even have confirmation of visually seeing him in the middle of the night from the time of his bedtime. So I think there needs to be massive red flags towards the mother because she was the last adult who had contact with him? Absolutely. Am I saying that she definitely did something illegal and she should be, you know, a suspect? Absolutely not. But she was the last one to have contact with him. She claims that she heard him at 9 p.m., right? 9 p.m. and hadn't seen him for multiple hours before that. She claimed she was on the phone with her husband. Here's the questions I have. From the last confirmation of being alive, that video camera footage from the restaurant, to missing, is that enough time for the stepfather to be there and back to where his phone is too, right?
Oh, yeah.
Because we've talked about the triangulation and potentially forwarding a call. But what if there is none of that technology stuff going on? What if there was some type of return, pickup, and left? I mean, I don't know. And what's really important is the stepfather voiced his concerns that he thinks that Sebastian Rogers was a child can't be a pedo, but he was going to end up being a predator because he had been abused. That's what the stepfather believes. Okay. So did he feel like he was doing something positive and came back and picked him up and dropped off on the corner? I mean, I don't know. I think the possibilities here are endless. I think that I'm really surprised that it's going in this direction, though. with him being connected to the Sumner Sheriff's Department.
What?
I'm really surprised that it feels like there is a lack of law enforcement making good, solid connections in their investigation. And like, the father is employed by the Sumner Sheriff's Department. I'm really surprised at that.
He's not employed by the Sumner Sheriff's Department. He doesn't even live in that area.
I thought that he
lives up in Clarksville.
I thought that the
Seth
corrections
Rogers
officers
is not in Sumner County.
Are hired in background from the okay.
And not in that county.
Okay.
It's a totally different area.
What county is he does he
Clarksville.
work at?
I believe he lives up in Clarksville.
Okay.
Which is a good distance away from outer Nashville.
Yeah. I mean, it could, I don't know without looking at a map, but I was under the impression that he was connected directly with Sumner County Sheriff's Department for being a corrections officer. But okay.
No, because he doesn't live in that area and he doesn't work there. Yeah.
That's one thing I need to look into then, because
people think that Chris Proudfoot, the stepfather, has a connection with the police in that area.
Yeah, but
we don't have any objective objective evidence for that. We only have rumor. We only have the fact that it's said that his family, his mom, married his stepdad, the Bauer Sox, that they have money and pull in that area and that he grew up in that area. Like, it's all rumor. There's nothing there. And also Nina Gomez, his ex-wife, also made those allegations that he had connections because of how she was treated by the Sumner County Sheriff's Department.
Sure.
So, I mean, it's possible he has connections. I mean, it is odd that he said in that Narc Divers video that he was the only one to get a ride along. It is odd that Seth Rogers says that the Sumner County Sheriff's Office doesn't talk to him or update him really on anything. Yet in that interview from 2 days ago, Katie Proudfoot says that they're in constant contact with her and updating her all the time. Really weird. I also have seen this weird push and pull between the community and the police department, the sheriff's department, where the sheriff's department will say 1 minute that they want people out there searching. They want the searches. They think it's great and to keep doing it. And, the community is not going to pull back. They're going to keep searching. Seth Rogers is still got volunteers. He's still got private investigators. There's still plenty of people who care that are going to be out there searching and handing out flyers and following up on leads and all that stuff. It's not going to stop. But then I feel like I keep seeing where the Sumner County Sheriff encourages it and then discourages it.
Mm-hmm.
Where they're
I don't think I've ever seen Sumner County come out and make a statement encouraging people to look in that way. I think what we heard is them ask people to check their own property. They have said that too. But they aren't specifically suggesting that a bunch of people randomly come out and start searching, I think that's important to highlight the differences of, So, yeah, I think maybe that's the disconnect. Yeah. I got to go to the restroom though while you finish talking. Was there anything else that you had that was an update? No, I don't think so. I was just I still haven't heard anything about the Nancy Grace. Oh yeah, we still are waiting on the polygraph to see if those results are going to be released. I didn't even Seth Rogers is constantly on different shows and podcasts making statements and talking. So no, that is not confirmed. That was on those fake Facebook posts. And yeah, I guess I'll reiterate that again because I think people are going to be confused. We talked about some Facebook posts that were supposedly written by Sebastian's biological father, Seth Rogers, saying that
he fell asleep during the polygraph with Nancy Grace, that the TBI warned him to be careful and all this stuff. But then Seth Rogers came out on Crime Lines and Lies live stream and said that he doesn't have any social media. He doesn't have a single social media account, which I tend to believe, because when he was getting donations from people, he wasn't even setting up his own Cash App or anything. Like, he was using like family members and stuff. Like, it doesn't seem like he has any social media at all. And he was saying that he doesn't have a Facebook. He said, if you get messages from me on Facebook, I don't have one. It's not me. So those messages or those screenshotted comments that were going around that were supposedly Seth Rogers on Facebook saying all that stuff about the polygraph seem like they're not true. They seem like they're fake. It's just not official information whatsoever. At this point, like, part of me wonders, like, is there anywhere? So I was listening to, what is it? What is it called? It was uploaded by Jessica Danielle, and she takes a bunch of dispatch audio and mashes it together, and it's many hours of it, but she condenses it down to about 20 minutes. And the title is Sebastian Rogers Timeline of the First 11 Hours. Again, by Jessica Danielle YouTube channel. And there's a part where they talked about a cave behind a home. I don't know if they meant Sebastian's home in the woods. And I forgot about that. Like, Tennessee has cave systems. Like, is there any chance he could have snuck out at night, went like and walked around in the woods, got in a cave, and like squeezed in somewhere that he couldn't get out of? That's one thing that I'm most worried about in this situation, is that he squeezed in somewhere he couldn't get out of. Because at this point, nothing makes sense. Like, nothing's adding up. And yes, there's red flags with the parents, but it doesn't seem like it's leading anywhere. And I don't understand how they could be evading the police for this long unless the police are onto them, and they're just not letting us know that yet. Did he squeeze into somewhere and couldn't get out? And who knows where it is? It could be the most random place. Like, how extensively did they check that cave behind the home?
Yeah.
Like, did they check to see if there's anywhere that he could squeeze into? Did they think, oh, no, we're not going to look in there because there's no way he's squeezed in there, That's so tiny.
Yeah, it's possible.
It's just an idea.
I definitely think it's possible. And I think since the dogs visited the home, I think literally the only option here is either the timeline isn't what we think it is, or he left some other way, not of his own volition. I think those are the only possibilities, unfortunately. I don't believe he walked out of that house. I don't.
It's hard for me to believe that too.
And that's because of how much faith I have in scent dogs. Now, do I know that they used really qualified, scent dogs? No, I don't know that. I understand
there were
that.
So many different ones, though. Like, you think at least one of them would have worked.
Yeah, I mean, you would definitely think that. And, scent dogs can literally catch a scent that is 20 years old, you guys. Like,
it's incredible.
How sensitive their nose is absolutely insane, okay? And the fact that there is no trail leaving the home tells me that he probably didn't leave on his own.
One other thing.
However, He was at the house earlier and left on his own. You know, did they pick up scents in the driveway? And did they pick up that scent? Because that should have been there too. And then the only one that I think would matter is a scent that is like going off the property, you know, and they said that they didn't find one. So I'm thinking he left in a car, maybe on his own volition, I guess, or not that way, right? It's some other way, unspeakable way.
Yeah. So one thing I saw Seth mention in the which I forgot to bring this up the other night on the crime lines and lies live that he did, and also Katie was on the On Patrol thing on Facebook where she did a little interview. It was very short. Well, Seth mentioned how he felt they made fun of him, the way he danced, the fact that they wouldn't take pictures with him because his smile was too goofy, that he had an awful home life with them and they made fun of him. Well, then on the On Patrol live, you know, on Facebook, Katie brings up that he's a very, like, for seemingly no reason, brings up he had a very unique run and he ran like Naruto, the anime character, which everybody knows is like something that's silly that people make fun of. Like, why did she bring that up? Like, why? I don't know. Like, I don't know. It just seems odd to me, knowing that Seth is out here making fun of, like, saying you're making fun of him. Then you bring up this, which maybe she doesn't understand. Maybe she doesn't pay attention to these things. I don't know.
Yeah.
But the fact that she knows to call it the Naruto run.
Yep. With arms back in that way. Yeah.
Like, this is something people make fun of people for, you know? Like, I don't know. It just seemed odd to me. I don't even know why she would bring it up. But it's just, I don't know. It's just something that struck me. Like, why did you even say that?
Yeah, it's definitely strange. It is strange to bring that up. However, could that help if they saw a child running down the street in that way? Would it stand out? Maybe.
You think he would run like that in emergency?
I have no idea. I don't know. I don't know him. So I'm not sure. You know,
good point.
I'm not sure. But
it's not a natural way to run,
it's
though.
not. No.
It's not natural at all.
No, it's
so
not.
It makes me think he watched it and wanted to run that way, or somebody taught him that, or, you know, because it's just not very natural. But who knows? Who knows?
Yeah. Yeah, there is no way to know. I just hope that people continue talking about him and we find out exactly what's going on. Okay.
Yeah, I feel so bad for Sebastian, man.
Yeah. Yep. So, yeah, missing since 2/26, 2024, weight 120, height 5'5", eyes brown, hair brown, race white, male. So, yeah.
Yep, he's 15 years old with autism and a chromosome deletion. His parents have all said if you see him, just say his name, Sebastian, and he is functional. He's smart and functional.
Yeah, I mean, he seems like it from the video we saw and watched the other day. I mean, seems like it. You know?
It is very sad, but please, you guys, share it. Share his picture, share his poster with anybody you know. No matter where they are. If you have social media, share it.
All right, here. So let's move on over to Bryan Kohberger, Idaho4. All right. So if you've been following us for a while, you know that this is the main case that we've been investigating and or covering. And we have over 100 videos looking into over 100 things and breaking it down on a very micro level while staying on top of and watching the macro and the pre-trial hearings. Unfortunately, in November of 2022, these 4 people lost their lives. Somebody had entered their home with a fixed large bladed weapon and, ended their lives, unfortunately. So there's so much drama. There's so many questions. There's so many issues going on with this case. And it has transitioned into a case that is what seemingly to involve the entire local area, the entire city, from the involvement of the university president in the daily war room in during the investigation into the Idaho4 massacres, to the university purchasing the home where the crime took place, not purchasing it, receiving it. They were given it. But for receiving the home where this tragedy took place and making the choice to tear it down again, like involving themselves. They went headfirst. The university went headfirst into this investigation, tragedy, and relationship with the police, in my opinion.
And 3 weeks after their lives were ended, the president of the university began writing a book all about how amazing of a president he is of this university, and included a whole chapter about this crime in it.
Right. Yeah. And that in itself is really, really strange. And, we've gone into quite a few different topics that involve the university, the local university there. And Scott Green, who is the president during this tragedy and some other situations. And we've wondered, what is the cause, right? Many people out there believe that the cause is money motivated. Look, if you're asking my opinion, I feel like 90% of crime is money motivated or dope related. Okay. Which again, dope is money. So, same umbrella in my opinion. So I think that very well could be. Is it as simple as controlling the statistics of the college to have the best national image possible? I don't know. Does it have to do with something on a more micro level involving money? I don't know. But there are some very weird situations going on. And quite a few creators out there have brought up the fact that, one, the university itself, which the more I think about this, the weirder it is. And we did a video, and I'll try and pull it up in between our conversation and stuff to highlight it on the screen. But we did a video going into the breakdown of the $1 million that was given by the state to the university, okay, because of this tragedy. $1 million, even though this tragedy didn't happen on the college campuses, and the university isn't being held accountable for this tragedy happening. And the university, it wasn't on any university ground. This is outside of university ground that this occurred. So why they were given $1 million? Look, I'm not sure, but according to their breakdown of the charges, which we covered in the video that I'll post in here, they spent $700,000 on opinions. Essentially, it is expert opinion of the breakdown of their security systems.
AKA consultants.
Yeah, that's the professional term. But there was no work conducted. Okay, so I really wanted to land the point that they paid over $500,000 for somebody's opinion. I would be interested to know if that was one subcontractor that came out and walked the campus and wrote up a one-page document and bam, here you go, 600 grand. Was it a team? Did you have a team of security experts who came in and dug through every single aspect of the college's security system from top to bottom, looking through back-end coding, cameras, blind spots, anything like that? Like, is it in depth like that? You know, we don't know. We have no idea, but we know $600,000 is a lot of money. It's probably as much money as their security systems cost, the current systems. So for them to just pay for somebody's opinion with $600,000, it feels like a red flag. That, you know what I mean? That feels like a red flag. Like somebody needs to dig in further. Somebody needs to ask for the line by breakdown of the work that was received for $600,000. I think it was more than 600. I think it was closer to 7. But
yeah, the university won't give it up. They said it's lawyer-client privilege information.
Yeah, I mean, the university is denying public records requests left and right from people, especially right now. And, you know, as we're looking into this investigation and covering this case, we had a few people yesterday who brought up the scandal going on at the university right now with the volleyball team.
Mm-hmm.
Have you looked into that anymore since we talked about it yesterday?
No, not much. I saw part of the interview rooms thing on it, but not, I mean.
Oh, the interview room covered the scandal?
That's why people are bringing it up, because they covered it last
okay.
night with Gary Bricado and Chris's wife, Karen.
Okay, so I just posted that video, you guys. It is on YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter. So if you're on any of those platforms at this time stamp in the video, you will find that link. So it is on there, and I will try and remember to actually, I'll just put it in the description of this video too. But that is the breakdown of what we're talking about here. And I feel like that's a pretty good baseline of some of the concerns here. But I'm sorry, I interrupted you. What were you saying?
So they gave a breakdown of it, and this isn't new information. This has been out for a while. She essentially, you know, took it from an article, and they talked about it, and that's good that they're talking about it, because I think it's important.
I mean, it is kind of new-ish.
There's some new developments.
Yeah.
However, it is not new.
Right.
It has been going on since this crime happened. That man, that coach, volleyball coach, was hired the same month the murders happened. By the next month, there were complaints against him because he is an awful human being. Like, just saying it straight up honest. He's abusive, he's controlling, and he's done absolutely horrible things. Horrible.
I'm just nervous saying something
He's
like
had allegations from numerous other colleges.
Have any proof of that. I want to be very clear. I'm not willing to call him a horrible human being because I don't have evidence that
what about all of the complaints from all of his other colleges that he worked at?
Did I give the wrong video?
Because when you have, okay, I understand it may seem like I'm jumping the gun, but I have seen many different complaints from this one single man from numerous universities. And when that keeps happening over and over and over, you're the only common denominator here. Yeah, that's not normal.
I got you. I just want to be able to be clear because we try our best to be objective and stay objective here at the True Crime Talk Show and Thought Riot Podcast. So, listen, I'll say it like this. If this is found to be confirmed and true, which there is some evidence of that right now, then yeah, I agree with you. How he was managing the team and what he was doing is beyond me. He should have never been within a football field's distance of college sports, kids, or anybody else. I agree with you. I'm going to pull up some pictures here while you.
Yeah, that's right. He had 15 different jobs in 21 years. I forgot about that. Yes, he did. I mean, one thing that I guess I'll bring up is, one thing I saw the interview room doing, okay, and this is Percato and Karen and Chris McDonough. They were all talking about this, and while I like them, I like their content, I respect them very much. One thing I wasn't sure about, and I didn't understand how it connected, was that they kept bringing it back to Bryan Kohberger, like almost comparing this coach to Bryan Kohberger and acting like the Moscow University, like the University of Idaho, had this culture of indifference towards women's issues, like, you know, if men were aggressive. And while I do think that's real, and I do think that's happened here numerous times, I don't see how that matters with Bryan Kohberger. He wasn't a student at that university. He didn't go to that university. And there were no complaints against him from women at that university. So I just don't understand tying back this coach's behaviors and all of these things back to Bryan Kohberger and acting like the culture of the town is what led to Bryan Kohberger being able to do what he did. Don't agree. I don't think there's anything that could have been done to stop the murders that happened. Even if Bryan Kohberger is innocent, you know, I just don't see how this relates. I think what we're looking at here is the university's issues, which has nothing to do with Bryan Kohberger. It has to do with the investigation, the university being involved in this investigation, and all of their issues.
Yeah, that's interesting. I probably should have watched their video on this before I covered this, because I didn't know that they covered this situation, and this situation is definitely interesting. And so this is the coach, Chris Gonzalez, okay? And not Gonzalez, to be clear, you guys, Gonzalez. So just so people aren't making some connection like that. All right. So like you were saying, this coach started in 2022, the end of 2022, okay? Going right into the 2022 season. And based on and this is 13 girls. 13 different girls, okay, have submitted complaints through the last 2 to 3 years. And those complaints range everything from, so this was the final straw to break the camel's back, but and I'll pull up who did the interview, but so 13 girls said that they are being abused. One time the coach got physical with a girl. They have evidence of that. I believe that one of them said that he got, and when I say physical, I mean like pushing her down during a practice routine, in a situation that should have never happened. So apparently they were practicing, you know, doing sets or whatever. He jumped in the practice and something happened to where he literally went out of his way to push this girl down, which is insane. I can't think of any situation in volleyball you have a coach that lays their hand on anybody. Not even, I mean, the only people that would end up bumping bodies or ending up making contact are people on the same team. Okay. Now, they also have evidence, and get the, well, I guess I should save that 1 second to last. So he would make comments constantly about their weight going so far as to call them linebackers. Like, they look like NFL linebackers. And because they look like linebackers, he's not going to feed them good when they're traveling for sports. Insane. Insane. That is so
insane.
messed up. So withholding food, making fun of somebody's appearance, physical appearance, physically pushing a girl and more situations of that nature down. Okay, so the complaints had already started at this point. All right. They finally made it formal in January and pursued it heavily. But starting at the end of 2022, 13 of these women, these girls, these college-aged girls, had been filing complaints. And, when they were going in to file these complaints, they were being turned away in person. And then when they did file them, they were not being followed up on. They never heard from it again.
That was one of the issues with the star football player at the university who assaulted a young girl. The university didn't handle that well either, which is awful. It's absolutely awful. It makes you, especially as a parent, like, learning that. Would you want to send your child to that school knowing that they could be being abused by a teacher, but nobody's going to listen to them, hear them out, investigate, do anything, literally do anything? No. But unfortunately, this happens in a lot of universities. It's not unique to this university. They don't want to get in trouble for this stuff, and they think if they ignore it, they won't get in trouble for it. So they try to cover it up.
I'm curious how many girls are actually on the team, because what I'm counting there is 18. So 13 out of 18 are coming out and making complaints. And this is where things get interesting, you guys, because there's some interesting details in here. So they're making complaints that it's not being pursued. Okay. And, so a situation happens where they're on the road and one of the assistant coaches, you guys, goes 100 miles an hour. So when they took a video of one of the coaches traveling at a high rate of speed to the point where girls were like, hey, slow down. And they were told no. So they took a video of the coach going that fast and submitted it to the school, and the school, well, they say school. I don't know if it was a single person. I don't know how many persons did this, but the school told the girls they were lying. That's how they handled that situation. No. You're lying. That didn't happen. Interesting. So anyways, they have the video, they have the evidence, they have the proof. Okay. And they submit a complaint, and they were told this. So they asked questions and were told that as soon as you submit this complaint, the coach is going to be told about it. Yeah. So they said,
not okay.
I agree. So these 13 girls went to file this complaint formally, and they had already been submitting, dozens of single complaints of single situations. And they said, you know what? Wait until after the season, because they didn't want to file the complaint because they were mid-season and then have to see and deal with the repercussions of the coach, because they were worried, based on the previous complaints and how the school handled them, that they were going to be treated unfairly. People were going to lose scholarships. Like, listen, college sports is serious business. Serious. People's college degrees depend on it. So for some people to lose a scholarship is to lose their entire degree. You know what I mean? So I understand that. I get it. I don't know if that's the right decision to go at the school and say, you know what, I know all these horrible things are happening, but because we don't want to face the coach, just hang on. I don't know if that should have happened, but you know, it is what it is, and that's what happened. So they waited, and then after the season, they pursued this, and the school didn't do much.
Nope. I mean, it's funny because I mentioned it yesterday when I gave a very, very, very brief, like literally 2-sentence overview of what this was. That Scott Green was literally attached to the original complaint. And he didn't do anything.
The original official complaint
by
of
the
parent.
By a parent.
Okay.
A letter from a parent was sent in December of 2022. This has been going on since December, which again, I said he was hired in November. The month of the murders is when he was hired. So clearly, you guys, Xana wouldn't probably have had any run-ins with him. And if she did, it would have been like a week, 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I don't remember. I don't know if we even know the exact date he began. But the first complaint was in December of 2022. And it's been going on this entire time. It wasn't until this year he was put on leave, right?
Correct. Yeah. So just, I don't want to get to that yet. So yes, when they filed the formal complaint and the season's over and they submit it, the school doesn't do anything, and they're told that you know, it takes time. That's what they were told, that it takes time. The volleyball players weren't okay with that, and they were told that they didn't have to go to summer practices to see him face to face while they resolve this. All right. Now, finally, you guys, 2 weeks ago, after all this madness, and you want to know what one of the things the coach said? I can't believe I forgot to say this. So, and this is where we're going with this, actually. So. Wait, where is that? There we go. So the coach told all the girls that I can do and say whatever I want to the international girls because they can't do anything and they can't leave.
Right. So he started recruiting. Did you say that he started recruiting international girls?
I mean, that's what we're gonna go on. It's not him, but gotcha.
Oh, it's not him?
No.
What do you mean?
No. So there is a label of student, and I don't know if you guys remember this, but when we were talking about the university numbers and metrics of students, we had said that didn't actually go up like they're claiming it did. Okay. They have 4 or 6 campuses or something like that. And they take a total of all of those 4 or 6 campuses. And if you look at the amount of international students that they brought in, that went way up. So I have always theorized, without being able to get the finalized numbers, that the reason why the numbers went up, okay, after the Idaho4 massacre, is because they padded those numbers with international students.
Yeah, and you mentioned other satellite, that they could just randomly include other satellites.
You mean sites?
Yeah, satellite sites of the university, other places that students are going to that are
Sites,
that are not the main campus in Moscow.
Correct.
They could start including those numbers to pad their numbers. And,
correct.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So when we looked at the numbers originally, the year-over-year numbers, because what people were doing is they were comparing the winter student number, the winter student, what's it called? Whatever numbers, the
enrollment.
The winter enrollment numbers with the spring enrollment numbers and saying, look, guys, we have a huge increase, not taking into account that the real way to track that metric is to compare the year-over-year spring enrollment number and the current spring enrollment number. That is the only way to get a real breakdown of the totals, or if there was an impact. When spring started, they were at like a 15% decrease. A 15% decrease.
Very interesting. I mean, I've wanted you to explain the stats for a long time.
Yeah, so they were at a 15% decrease. Okay, now interesting. This guy was brought at the end of 2022.
It is interesting.
Okay. And you know where he started recruiting for? International girls, right?
Right.
So we know that they have an absolutely insane increase in international students. Where did those students come from? You can't just go on a list and be like, oh, you know what? I want to bring this international student over, this international student. No, they got to do it through sports.
That makes total sense.
And do you think that that sports coach would feel like that they're covered because they're helping pad the numbers of students for the school? Do you think that would cause that coach to get a big head? Because I do, and I think we're seeing evidence of that. I think this is evidence of that.
But you're not paying attention to his track record. The 15 jobs in 20 years
at all.
The complaints.
I'm not worried about that at all. That's not even what I'm talking about, is the abuse. I'm talking about the fact that he has a big enough head and comfortability to come in here and say, you know what? I can treat these international girls however I want, because they can't go anywhere. They signed their life to us. That's what I'm talking about.
Okay.
He made a direct reference to the international students.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
So I think that there is some kind of connection there. And this guy messed it up, or could have potentially messed it up in a way that it's going to highlight and flag people looking into the other sports. So how many other sports have a pretty big increase in international athletes? I bet you it's a lot.
All of them.
And it's interesting, you can't get the metrics breakdown for the spring semester like you could all of the other semesters. And I still have the original documents that show that there was a 15% decrease in students. It doesn't say that anymore, you guys. That number has been adjusted.
Did you ever figure out what those unwanted texts were that he was sending to students, to hit some of the volleyball players?
No. It doesn't talk about that anywhere on any of the news sources, you guys. And it's not like I submitted a public request to the college. I didn't. I used the news sources I had at hand and just did a deep search of the internet and found all this stuff that way. So, but what's interesting here is the implications of the student body numbers being manipulated with the intention of making a deal for the Phoenix University, and what they would have had to do to show that they have a healthy financial situation. And I think this is how they did it. I really do. I think this is a huge deal.
Well, you know, it's interesting because I've seen numerous articles actually in the past week that have come out about how universities are having such issues with enrollment right now. And the University of Idaho keeps stating their enrollment's the opposite. They're excelling while the rest of the country is suffering, which is interesting to me. Like, why is that? Like, how are they making those claims? are they still employing these tactics is what I'm saying. Are they getting a ton of international students through sports still? Because as we know, this man was not put on paid leave until very recently. So is that how they've been accomplishing that this entire time? They've been doing this since the murders.
2022, you mean?
Yep.
Probably. So look, there are standard metric growth, okay? In business, you can't grow too fast or it shows that there's a problem. You can't dive in your numbers so fast or it shows that there's a problem. There is a standard expectation of growth, okay? And that's one of the things that we talked about, is that people looked at the university's numbers and they're gauging these numbers point for point, okay? So you have in the spring semester, let's say 1,000 students, all right? But let's say that's when the Rona hit, okay, and everyone got sick or whatever, and the colleges across the U.S. had a 20% decrease in students. So you take those 1,000 students, you're now down to 800, and that's what the national standard and average would be. So if you had 801 students in your college or in enrollment, then technically you have an increase of 1 above all the other colleges. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You got to take the national statistics into account. So I think this is open territory in all things universities, because I don't think that they had anything under control and had never seen a thing like this because of the Rona. You know?
Yeah.
I really do. And I think that when you look at their increases, yeah, I think they're trying to sell that idea that they're not being impacted to, you know, parents and the local safety is above the rest and everything else. I mean, it's interesting. It's interesting that immediately they got $1 million. Okay. $1 million. And I posted that link of the video in this description. But the state was like, oh yeah, you had a tragedy near you. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. We'll give you $1 million. You know,
the $1 million, I just
70. Yeah.
I don't understand why they even asked for it, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
Especially when you mentioned how much money they're bringing in every year. I'm thinking, what was the point?
Know.
Like, why did they? It's $1 million compared to what they're bringing in every year normally. Like, why? Why did they ask for it? Was it really that much of an emergency?
No idea.
To get security consultants?
I don't understand at all. I don't know. I wish I did. I wish I knew.
It was to protect their interests or something.
Yeah. Yeah. I really wish I knew. But yeah, I think this is a huge deal, a massive deal that impacts this entire situation. And, you know, the numbers of students enrolled make or break whether your school is considered to be functioning or not.
Yeah.
My big interest, though, is trying to understand the need to buy the University of Phoenix, or Phoenix University. I'm sorry, Phoenix University. The way that it was handled and managed was literally a need. He was reached out to by 4 or 5 people, politicians, and told, hey, leave it alone, you know? Do not buy it. Don't do anything. Leave it alone. You know?
Yeah. He was. There were many people who did not approve of it at all.
Yeah.
I recently read actually an article on it, and I think it might have been written back when this was like a big thing that was being talked about. And it was, I think, a congressman or somebody important that wrote it, that talked about the University of Phoenix's bad reputation of taking advantage of veterans and taking advantage of, using
Really?
their GI bills and
Whoa.
stuff. Like, yeah, it's
okay.
What they were talking about sounded really bad, and it's like, why? I mean, that's what they
Did
were
they
worried
have
about.
some kind of evidence or proof or anything to back it?
I mean, what, University of Phoenix?
Yeah.
All their complaints?
No, the claims that they're taking advantage of these people. So what, like, okay, the Phoenix University,
They were only
could have
speaking.
been taking advantage of everybody, not specifically these people. So I'm curious if what you were reading specifies why they were taking advantage of those people in particular.
I don't have it pulled up in front of me right now, but I remember them talking about them specifically marketing towards veterans, that they had commercials and marketing stuff out there directed at veterans, and then they would take advantage of them basically after they, joined the school, and that it was a really bad situation, and it sounded absolutely awful. I didn't really plan on necessarily bringing it up. I just was going to mention it because it was an interesting article, but I can find it again and read it and, share it with everybody on Discord or something and on Twitter. But it just, from what was said in that article, it just sounded like there were many, many, many important people in the state of Idaho who really didn't like the idea of the University of Idaho merging with a company that has such a bad reputation. Like, University of Phoenix has one of the worst reputations of all universities.
It's not only the reputation. They are amidst an investigation by the feds. It's not only a reputational thing. They were being investigated.
Has that investigation closed?
I mean,
is that where they were trying to sell? Can you even sell when you're in an investigation?
In an open investigation, I don't know. I mean, you can do whatever you want. It doesn't mean that you're going to run away from charges. That's like being a dope dealer for 10 years. And then you find out that, you have a van sitting outside of a house or down the street. And you're like, oh no, the feds are watching me. And then just stop. Like, okay, not going to work. You know what I mean? Good luck. But they were absolutely being investigated. And it's not the first time. They had multiple different lawsuits that have come up. Some of them are some of the lawsuits were criminal-based lawsuits. Others are civil. So yeah, I just think that this is a bigger deal than what most people are realizing it is.
So why do you think it's such a big deal? I thought you said you wanted to cover it in a way that, like, you wanted to come at it from some angle.
I did. I think that this has to do with the student body base, not so much him abusing the team. The abuse is awful. And this man should have never been anywhere near any of these girls. And it makes me wonder why the school was so willing to look the other way. Why?
Right.
Because it was getting students there for
because
you
they're
that
willing
can be counted.
They're willing to look the other way when something's benefiting them. Is essentially what you're saying. If they're getting benefit out of it, then they're willing to look the other way.
Interesting.
That's a really scary thought with a school when the students are being victimized.
I agree with you.
I hope that's not what's going on. That's a really bad look.
I mean, they were literally told that they were lying about one of the coaches driving in an insanely deadly rate of speed. They have the video here.
Yeah.
Let me see if I can find it real quick here. So, and you know, in the last 2 weeks, he is finally suspended.
Yeah.
Finally. And well, you know what it took?
With pay.
Yeah, but dude, if you're part of any situation, I was going to say school or college, it doesn't matter what it is, and you have a coach over a multitude of people, and the majority of those people come in and file complaints and make claims against that person needs to be sent out immediately pending the results of an investigation. You have the majority of the team saying something is going on. If you don't do that, I mean, yeah, even with pay, I'm okay with pay as long as you take the risk out of the equation.
Yeah.
And he's the risk.
Yeah. It was 13 people and also parents had spoken up, and they still did nothing. Like, that looks so incredibly bad. So incredibly bad. I don't know what the heck they were thinking, man. You know, Scott Green said in his book, you're only as good as your worst headline. And seemingly it appears that's why he was involved in this investigation. I mean, I theorized this to you guys, like, about this with you guys the other night, is how much different this would be if it was further away from campus and the victims of this crime were not called students in the media. Like, all the first, before we even knew their names, they were just being called the University of Idaho students. 4 University of Idaho students were murdered. 4 University of Idaho students in every headline. It wasn't 3 girls and a guy get murdered in a, house in Moscow, Idaho. It was off-campus sorority house. Their name was being attached to this crime, regardless of it being on campus or off campus. And I go back to what Scott Green said in his book. You're only as good as your worst headline. Like, what do they think is going to happen here with this situation? Like, letting a coach abuse a whole team of volleyball players and recruit international girls,
right,
and abuse them.
Yeah.
Like, what the heck? What did they think was going to happen? So yeah, I tend to agree with you. They thought this was benefiting them somehow.
Yeah. Listen to this.
University first learn about these accusations against the volleyball coach? So my understanding is the first allegations came into athletics and for review in October. Then on the request of the complainants, anything further was delayed. And then the investigation began then in December.
Does it concern the university that 13 young women have come forward and said that they have ongoing complaints?
Anytime there's a concern brought to the university, that's taken very seriously.
So I'm just going through this particular complaint from Emma. She addressed a number of things, including comments about looks, driving players to and from events at almost 100 miles an hour, retaliating if actions are reported. Are those particular things acceptable from coaching here at the University of Idaho?
I can't speak about a particular investigation or specific complaints.
But are those particular things?
I can't speak about them.
But in general, if anyone was doing that who was a staff member at the University of Idaho, do you think that those things are acceptable?
I'm not going to answer that question.
Ooh. Emma received this notice from the university.
Crazy. And you know that notice that they're showing right there says that she could be held liable. The student.
Huh?
Yeah. It says that there could be some liabilities on the students who complained.
Why?
Don't know. I don't know. I mean, it says here between October 16th, and isn't that weird that they filed this in October for abuse? Abuse. And the investigation didn't start in December. Whoa. Okay, so what we see here is it says,
What?
Dear Mrs. Student, the name's Emma. Between October 16th, 2023 and November 7th, 2023, the University of Idaho Office of Civil Rights and Investigations received reports from, oh yeah, and she finally went to the Office of Civil Rights, but volleyball team student athletes complaint alleging that the Vandals volleyball team head coach, Chris Gonzalez, engaged in different treatment based on national origin. So because they were international students, harassment based on sex and retaliation against Vandal volleyball team student athletes and female coaching staff members. Specifically, it was alleged that during the 2022 and current 2023 women's volleyball seasons, respondent has favored international players and disfavored American volleyball players.
Okay.
Whoa. Respondent has mistreated female coaching staff to a greater extent than he has mistreated the male coaching staff. So, you know, sex-based discrimination. Respondent has made unwelcome negative comments to volleyball players about their bodies and personal characteristics to demean, hurt, and belittle them, including through electronic communications, and touched female athletes without their consent in a manner that he acknowledged could be seen as SA. When current or former, or sexual-based harassment, when current or former volleyball players reported concerns with actions by respondent that they believed violate law or university policy, he harassed and belittled them, forced them to engage in extreme and excessive physical activity, or threatened to force them to engage in such retaliatory activity. I wish I had the other pages of this, but OCR evaluated the allegations and determined that if substantiated, the conduct could violate policies that OCRI enforces. OCRI determined that the matter is not appropriate for informal resolution. So this is from the discrimination and harassment complaint. So the second complaint after the investigation wasn't conducted. Interesting,
What
right?
a disappointment.
148. Yeah, so, yep. Yeah.
Gosh, this guy's, from the sounds of it, is absolutely awful. I feel bad for all of those girls on the volleyball team. I mean, I can't imagine getting a scholarship for school. I mean, and then having to deal with this.
I agree.
It just would be extremely hard to navigate.
Yep. I agree with you 100%. It doesn't make any sense other than the fact that this is financially motivated in a way that's impacting the college as a whole. That's what this is about.
I mean, the fact that they ignored it for so long and wouldn't do anything about it is what makes me think that that is probable, because I just don't see why else ignore it. Now, I know it's an issue within, you know, colleges that's happened in the past where things are ignored or covered up because they don't want those things getting out, but it didn't. Do you think they were even, I mean, I don't know. He was just like literally ignored. These girls were getting turned away. They were told if they followed through with their complaint, they would tell him, which then of course he would retaliate. Like, they were gaslighted into being complacent.
I agree. I think that
with his abuse.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know. Financial motive, I think a lot of times is I mean, money motivates, okay? Money matters. You always follow the money in any situation. So do I think it's very possible that his recruiting was helping with the numbers and was financially benefiting them, and that's why they turned their backs to it all? Yeah, I do think that's very possible. I think it's a really good thing to bring up.
Yeah. Now, what do you think the connection could be in the Idaho4 case? You think that they worked really hard to get their enrollment numbers up, and this crime put the school at risk?
I do. Yeah. I mean, obviously, I think that the crime is a risk somehow, or else the university wouldn't have got involved. That's why I kept talking about the headlines in the beginning. I believe they got involved because of those headlines. Otherwise, they would not have. The fact that their name was being tied to this crime, they had to have something to do with it, at least in Scott Green's point of view, in the way he handles things. Because, I mean, most universities wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
There's no point. Except to Scott Green, who apparently, I don't know what his goal is, being the best college president businessman ever. Like, I don't know. Like, what is his goal here?
I have no clue.
But clearly he clearly has some kind of goal. It's obvious he does. He has some kind of goal in mind. How I think it could tie back to the Idaho4 case is not how the interview room tied it back, which is through Kohberger. I disagree. I feel like it has absolutely nothing to do with Kohberger at all. How I see it tied back is their involvement in the crime and the investigation of the crime. And also, you guys know that we see worth in the 4chan theory. What is written in those posts cannot be known by just anybody. It's pre-PCA. People could not have known these things. The inner workings of relationships, intimate details of relationships, nicknames that have been confirmed through other ways. I mean, there's just so many things in them that make them not random, that make them not. Now, what's said in them? Yes, it could be some made up narrative. It absolutely could be. Bryan Kohberger could be guilty, but I see some kind of value in those posts. And if the theory, that whole theory, were to be true, I think this whole situation with them turning their back on a volleyball coach's abuse of students just to benefit their own financial gain, which is an allegation, okay, not proven. I think that possibility makes the possibility of them covering up, or at least helping deter investigators from a potential frat involvement in the Idaho4 murders, more likely. Because if the fraternity is accused, we all know Sigma Chi's on its last legs, and it's a possibility they could be shut down nationally. If there is another mess up
to Scott Green.
And imagine how much money that school would lose if Sigma Chi were no longer there.
I agree.
And you don't know if those fixers came in and started saying, hey, we'll just remove our chapter from your school. Also, you don't know. The schools survive off of fraternities.
They do. They survive off of fraternities.
Fraternities are vital, and Sigma Chi is the biggest in the country. So
they are needed because other countries do not allow fraternities. There are plenty of other countries that don't allow them. So
we would have to change the whole system.
They're not needed. They are not needed.
In our current system, they are.
They are a power that doesn't need to be there. It is a risk. It is not beneficial. Look, in the early 1900s, when universities were just getting created, they were needed. Okay, there was no technology, there was no mass alerts, there was no, hey, lock down, lock your doors and hide type situations, or like for if there's shooters, things like that. there wasn't any of that in the 1900s. They had to literally go person to person to person to person. So you had a massive boom from like your average college having 100 and something students to, you know, thousands, if not tens of thousands of students. So the president was not able to manage the student body. It was impossible. So they created fraternities or allowed fraternities in so that the president could go to the fraternity alumni. The alumni could go to the fraternity houses. The fraternity houses could go to the student body, and they could manage the whole system like that. One and done. Great fix. You know what I mean? And it makes total and complete sense. I get that. But we don't have that need anymore. Now you have fraternities that are keeping their heads above water by using financial means and you know, money motivated means so that they can continue doing whatever they want. You know, when I was in school, you know how many students never talk to somebody in a fraternity? Like in some leadership position? Fraternities aren't the leaders anymore of these student bodies. They aren't.
They used to be, but yeah, they're not anymore.
Not really, they aren't. What's interesting
they
is
used to be.
After a death in the Moscow, Idaho area, they put together. Okay, so this was a fraternity death, you guys, caused by fraternity parties, okay? Whether there was something weird about it or not. And their fix was to create a fraternity-driven investigation group into partying and the Greek life that was ran and functioned by fraternity members. What? That is insane. That's like asking a criminal who just got caught stealing and arrested as their punishment to make sure this other criminal doesn't steal things. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. Like, hey, your punishment because you know, tried to steal from this place is to make sure all these other criminals don't steal from this place. What?
Yeah, it was meant
ridiculous.
to be that from the top down leadership and accountability thing, and I don't think it ever worked well. Never, or else we wouldn't have had all the hazing deaths. We wouldn't have had all the crazy things that have happened in colleges with fraternities and college kids. I mean, it hasn't been good. You know, the GPA goes down once you like. The average GPA for fraternity members compared to the rest of the student body, if you join a fraternity, your GPA average goes down.
Like a lot, almost a full point. I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fraternity members compared to non-fraternity members. Fraternity members GPA is lower.
And not only that, 1 out of every 2 fraternity members leave their college stay as an addict.
Right.
That when I say addict, I'm including alcohol too. So, yeah, as an addict. Interesting. Interesting, right?
Very interesting.
Yeah. But I think this is something that needs to continue to be looked in. You know, I'm going to dig into this, you guys. I'm going to share it for now, but there's this, hang on. So, and listen, this is just my opinion, you guys. So, okay. A video came out. Okay. And in that video, a creator was talking about a bust around the similar and or same time of the Idaho4 massacre. Okay.
Okay.
And I just don't want it to come off like I'm trying to go against this creator. It's the only reason I'm not saying their name. I'll promote anyone. I don't care. That stuff doesn't bother me. Karma makes sure that we grow when we promote and are good to other content creators. But so this content creator put out a video, and maybe I'll put their video in the description is what I'll do. But their opinion is one opinion, okay? And I'm not saying their opinion is wrong. I'm not saying anything like that. But they talked about the drug activity in the area of the Northwest during the time of this horrible crime.
I mean, it's
crime and drugs tend to go together. And
it's the drug activity is significant in this area,
insane.
but it still is now. Like, it's going to continue to be.
Yeah.
This is just the time we're in at this moment.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I agree with you. But what they were talking about is they were talking about the insane bust, the biggest bust of all time in the Washington area, being in the March timeframe. So it wasn't, you guys, and you can compare the numbers. I know that March bust. There was actually a bust in this area in October that had some of the biggest numbers they ever busted. Then there was the biggest bust in December. And then there was another one in February and an even bigger one in March. Literally all in this area.
Back to back.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's insane, actually.
Absolutely. It's insane.
Because we've talked about the biggest bust, but I didn't realize it was that many in a row.
Yeah.
That's absolutely insane.
Yeah. And in this bust here was 1,000 pounds of crystal. 1,000 pounds of crystal.
And it says 300,000 fent pills.
Yeah.
So is there anything else involved?
I mean, all kinds of stuff. It was... I'm going to do the totals on the entire operation, you guys. We have videos covering these operations going back, for the last year. We've covered them so many times because the increase in drug busts in this area shot through the roof immediately. Shot through the roof in this area. What does that tell you guys? What do you think that tells you when you have nothing like this of the sort, and then all of a sudden, bam, 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 back to back to back to back?
They got informants.
Exactly. Yep.
They got informants.
Exactly.
That's obvious.
They started flipping people.
Yeah.
And they started whatever they were using to flip people was working.
It was working really well.
Yeah. Because
like really, really well.
1,000 pounds is normally the kind of weight that people only get caught with in a submarine.
These are huge busts. These are, I mean, this is a lot.
1,000 pounds is a lot. Like, hang on. So
yeah, I gotta go to the bathroom real quick. I'll be right back.
Okay. Okay, so let's just see. So the cost of retail, okay, so roughly about $30,000, okay, for quality meth can be $10,000 to $30,000. So then if we do yeah, you're looking at $30 million, you guys. So that is a $30 million on just the crystal alone. So it's interesting. And you know, one of the first angles we covered in the Idaho4 case, you guys, was the potential of a drug theory, right? Crime goes up when drugs go up in the area, and that tends to be so, like, if law enforcement is targeting an area, the crime goes up until all the busts happen, and it'll go up a little bit more, and then we'll start seeing major decreases. Major decreases. And what's interesting is, at least in my experience, hardened criminals, like lifers, criminals, not lifers in prison, but people that do criminal activity for their whole life, they are not people who roll over and snitch, in my opinion. They don't. They know what happens, okay? And I've said this for a long time, that some of the ways that law enforcement gets people to become snitches isn't fair, because law enforcement knows what they're doing. If somebody becomes a snitch, then that officer is saying, hey, I'm going to corner you in between a rock and a hard place until you make the decision that you are going to be ended. Your life will be ended. That doesn't feel very fair. And I just think there's another way of doing things that is more respectable than law enforcement trying to corner people that are criminals to make them feel like they have no options and force them to snitch, which now makes them likely die, you know? It's just, I don't know, you guys. I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of areas for improvement. There's a lot of different things that we can do. And it's interesting in this area that we have so many people that claim that there was some kind of angle here. There was some kind of drug angle here. And in that drug angle, you got to look for evidence of that, right? Because I can say anything, you guys. Like, most of you will know where I get this from, and I mean it. I mean it as a compliment, okay? I can come out here and say, like, part of the reason I put true in parentheses is because of, I was hoping we would get to this topic, but we started on this topic late. But I can come out here and say anything, okay? I can come out here and say, you know what, you guys? I think that somebody parachuted at 3 a.m. and landed in the window of Xana's room, okay? Literally, like, right in the window, okay? And then they conducted this horrible crime. But on their parachute, they had one of those giant fan blower backpacks. So after they were done, they just had to crawl back to the roof, turn on their fan blower backpack, and they took back off through the sky. That's why there's no evidence, okay? Anyone can come out and say anything, right? That doesn't make it true. That doesn't make it likely. If someone said that, I would be like, okay, can we find some evidence, you know? So when I'm looking at the drug theory, you guys, that was a long mansplain. I apologize. But as I'm looking at the drug theory, you guys, I am looking for evidence. And when you look from October of 2022, you have a bust in October with 1,000 pounds of crystal, $20 million, not including the pills that they found. Then you have December, a bust that totals, I could be wrong, but I think it was over $100 million. Then you have one in February that is guns, people, dope. And then you have one in March that is like another tens of millions of dollars. Huge pieces of evidence. Like, these sized busts are not common. These are not common. And they have to come from somewhere. It's interesting that the FBI was primed, prepped, and ready to go in the area, right? It's interesting that they had 4 of the largest busts in all of history of this area in the 6 months that include this crime. Yeah, Drip Drop said that, you guys. So shout out to Crime Circus. He's our buddy.
What did Drip Drop say?
That it's possible that somebody parachuted in. Yeah.
Oh gosh.
Drip Drop's our homie, you guys. So he knows. If you're watching this, what's up, my friend? And we just attached his link in our chat. But yeah, so these theories, anybody can come out and say anything. We've got to be able to have evidence to back it up, right? And he knows that he knows I meant it with the best intentions, so I'll just say that. But yeah, anybody can come out and say anything with any of these situations. So yeah, the dope. It's interesting. And I'm going to be going into this further, you guys, because yeah, Drip Drop comes in our chat every now and then. I know he was in here a few days ago or a week ago. Maybe it was like a week and a half ago. I don't know. But he had mentioned he was in here. He's been in here chatting a few times. So we just support each other, professional relationship, you know. I'm not we just have respect for each other, you know. But yeah. So how do you feel about that? Knowing there's all this increased activity in this area.
I think it's very odd. It makes you wonder if there was a connection. I'm sure if the FBI, I mean, don't you think the FBI would have wondered that too? When you hear a whole home, like almost a whole home was ended, I'm sure they would have thought, does that have anything to do with what's going on? I'm sure they would have looked into it.
Is that why the FBI came and was willing to be a part of this? I don't know. I have no idea, but I know that it's interesting. I know that when we see situations like this, that there's evidence that's got to back it. I know that, you know.
Very interesting.
So, yeah. All right, now I got to use the restroom. Then we'll move on.
Okay. Here, let's. I will. He's telling me to talk as he's walking away. I will, but like, I don't know how to. I'm not like Brendan. I can't jibber jabber nonstop constantly. I do run out of things to say, especially when I don't have somebody to bounce them off of, or I don't have like something I'm planned on talking about in research. Like this, he brought this. I didn't even know about any of this. You know, one of our videos that originally did really well and started skyrocketing some growth for us was the Idaho4 drug theory video. And it's an interesting theory. It's interesting, and it makes you wonder, like, because that we did talk about the biggest drug bust that had ever happened in Washington history happening. We talked about connections with family members to the victims, that, you know, there were some things that happened that made it seem like maybe possibly They could have flipped on somebody. I don't know. I don't want to. It's a sensitive subject, okay? But it's interesting. It's all very, very interesting. And while I have no idea if that could be the case, like, at all. I mean, I think that there's more evidence pointing towards Bryan Kohberger than I do that. It makes you wonder what was going on in this area. You know what I mean? Like, what was going on? And the cowboys, yeah, coming into the home. Like, who were they? What were they doing there? Could there have been some kind of involvement, but it not be directly tied to the murders? And if that's the case, how weird, how odd for things to align, you know, all to this one house with these students. Just like in the Delphi case, okay, for instance, one really weird thing is the Anthony Schatz account. Keegan Kline trying to talk to Libby, and seemingly there's no evidence that, except for Anthony Schatz claim, like, there being something about meeting that day. There is no other evidence that Keegan Kline traveled to that area. There is no evidence at all around that. Wow. That case has been super tight-lipped, and we only get the information we're allowed to get. There's more evidence pointing towards the Odinist theory than there is that Anthony Schatz profile. A lot of people thought Keegan Kline was on the radar for a long time, like a lot of people. But I think there's more evidence towards Ron Logan. I think there's more evidence towards the Odinists than that theory. But how weird that the universe would align to where a child predator is communicating with these girls at the same time they're a target from somebody else, possibly. Like, again, we have no evidence either way. I feel the same way in both cases. Like, a lot of oddities, a lot of weird connections, but they all seemingly go nowhere. And it all ends with these victims dying. It's just really strange how the universe works sometimes. You know, I always say, a lot of people always say there's no coincidences in murder. And I said that for a long time, but I don't know. Kind of seems like there's a lot of coincidences in murder. You know, when you start like picking at these cases with a fine-tooth comb, I mean, like, seems like there's a lot of coincidences. But I don't ever, regardless of what subject matter we're talking about, okay, if it has to do with drugs, if it has to do with the victim's involvement in something bad, and then something bad happens to them, at no point are we ever going to point the blame at the victims, ever.
No way.
No matter what anybody has done, unless obviously it's hurting somebody like themselves. Whatever they've done, as long as it didn't hurt anybody, like, it never justifies what happened to them, ever. They could have been the biggest junkie of all junkies. It doesn't matter. It doesn't justify what happened to them. It doesn't justify the other people's actions, ever. So that's one thing I wish more people open their minds to, you know, is it doesn't matter who the victim is or what they did or how they lived their life. It's the fact that what happened to them, and it shouldn't have, and it's wrong, and the person who did it deserves accountability.
Yep, I agree with you. And for anybody watching, most people, since we've gone to mainly live, a lot of people don't know, and all these videos go on every podcast platform that goes around the world, and that's where we have a majority of our views and viewership from, is from the podcast platforms. But if anyone is interested, this is the Idaho4 playlist that I copied and pasted the link to in. As you can see, we have over 100 videos detailing, you know, every aspect of this case that we could find and are still finding. And we're going to continue digging into it to try and understand. This isn't an open and closed case, you guys. There are a lot of questions here. You know, for a long time, I was arguing that the idea, in fact, that this is a complex case. It is a complex case because we don't know what the truth is. That is the only reason that I think it's a complex case. And, you know, all these videos just go into that, everything from the car to different theories. And you know, this is all the stuff that they don't want you to see.
Exactly.
But I'll go ahead and copy and paste that link into the chat.
So did you even bring up the fact that Seth Rogers started a change.org petition to get the FBI on the case?
No.
You didn't even know that when you brought up that Seth wants the FBI on the case?
No, I didn't.
Okay, well, let me get the petition and I'll share it.
Know.
I'll share it. Yeah, I didn't realize there was a change.org petition on it either. I just literally randomly came across it.
Yeah.
But I will link
Seth
it.
Was part of creating it or supported the creation of it?
It was started by him.
Oh, okay.
He made it, which is like the first thing I've seen him actually make.
He just said he isn't tech savvy and doesn't know how to do anything, and that he has a friend do it for him.
Well, maybe somebody helped him do it in his name.
Okay.
And maybe he felt like this was important enough it needed to be in his name.
Sure.
You know.
Sure. Yeah.
But there I just linked the change.org. Is it not actually forming an actual link?
No.
Okay. That's weird. I just copied and pasted it from the browser.
Yeah.
Maybe it cut something off. You go to change.org and then you just search Sebastian in their search bar and it pops right up. It looks like people are leaving videos as supporters and talking, which is really nice. Yep.
Okay.
There's only one. It looks like they've got 7,126 signatures so far. The next goal is 7,500. It says on it, we want the FBI to take over the investigation of the case of missing Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers from Sumner County Sheriff Office. It has been 50 days since Sebastian has gone missing. No scent trail from dogs, no footage of Sebastian leaving his mother's house, yet no criminal investigation at all by TBI or Sumner County Sheriff's Office.
Yeah.
That's a heck of a claim that there's no investigation by TBI or Sumner County Sheriff's Office.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's not true. Oh, no criminal investigation. Okay, yeah, there is no criminal investigation that we know of because they're saying there's no foul play. Sebastian is a runaway.
Okay.
Which is messed up. I thought there were laws at this point that if a child with autism or some kind of disability were to go missing, even if they thought it was possible they were a runaway, it's to be treated as a missing and endangered child. Like, what they can do a silver alert, they can do amber alerts. Like, I thought there was some kind of laws where this is supposed to be treated more seriously, you know?
Yeah. I don't know. I wish I knew.
It's been 50 days. Is he updating this every day?
But yeah, 7,100 signatures at the moment. And all right, you guys. So one thing that we do when we can is a members only live stream where we continue the conversation and proactively or actively chat with the chat directly. So hang on one second here and I can get that information for you. We have a lot of new members, which is incredible.
Yes.
All right. And paste. There we go.
Yeah, absolutely. He's a minor too. He's a minor with a disability. I just really think. I don't know. I just don't know what I think. I think it's possible that they know more than they're letting on and it's going somewhere and we just don't realize it, but I don't know. It could also be exactly what says it is.
Mm-hmm. It could be.
I hope that's not it.
Yeah.
I hope he's wrong and they're just not communicating well with him for whatever reason.
Yep.
But thank you guys all for being here tonight, hanging out with us. We love being live here with you guys. We love doing the True Crime Talk show. And are you switching over to the members right now?
Yep. I think
okay.
The members is already pulled up, I believe.
So yeah, there was quite a few memberships given out tonight. So even if you can't join the members tonight, that's okay. Tons of memberships are given out and we give out a whole bunch every month. Once a month, we give out a ton. So you'll get your chance. Just make sure that you have gifts turned on. There are some accounts that are considered branded accounts that can't get memberships, gifted memberships. So make sure you check, you Google what is a gifted YouTube account, or not a gifted, a branded YouTube account. How do I find out if my YouTube account is a branded account? I believe there's a way to fix it if it is, but that's just good PSA out there for everybody, because some people get really frustrated that they never get one. There's certain things that make you not get one, like that whole branded account thing. So just make sure you check, and yeah, you should get another chance, another crack at it.
Yes. All right, you guys. So we appreciate all of you, every single one of you. Check out all of our podcast platforms out there. You can find us on everything by searching Thought Riot Podcast, spelt all the way out. We are on all social media, Facebook, Insta, Twitter. We're on everything. And we are Thought Riot Podcast on everything except for X, aka Twitter. We are /Thought Riot Pod because it doesn't let us have that many characters.
Right.
So we had to adjust.
The only platform.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Platform. I just saw that lady pop up on Twitter, the one that freaked out on the plane.
Yeah. So
there were so many conspiracy theories about that.
We are going to paste the Discord invite link in here again, and our Twitter, and you can find those on X, YouTube, or Discord if you're on any of the other platforms. And we are switching over to the members live now. Did I paste that live in there? I think I did, right?
I think so.
Yeah, I think I did. So we will see you on the next one.
Yep. See you later.